The priest was still busy.
That is one vigorous rubbing priest. I want to look through that thing.
I could see that what had at first seemed to be a fine engraved chasing on the scroll was actually writing. Per disciplinum sounds
Well, that's because the priest just said it.
a statue of a knight holding a staff and a scroll. The statue had any secrets. It was concealing them pretty well.
I almost guarantee it is, though. Whoops. Can I throw that through the window? No.
The priest.
No, we've done that before.
A knight.
Je suis confusé.
The priest was still busy.
Or where to go and what to do. What to do? I'm guessing that we probably are going to have to go to some different locale. This place is not for us. Not at this time. Unless, of course, the gendarme has anything new.
Does this red nose mean anything to you?
Ah, you are a clown.
Do I look like a clown?
No, although you juggle like one. Now, if I'd known you were a clown, it would have been amusing, and not a humiliation for you.
What do you mean?
Whoever heard of a plainclothes clown?
He had a point.
He has a very valid
If I juggle
point.
badly with a red nose, I'd be the king of comedy. But if I juggle badly without it...
You look like a pathetic loon. We must...
It's a good lesson for life, to be honest. Okay.
I'll see you around.
Oui, monsieur. I'll be there.
Here. Alright, I was going to head back to the Musée Croon, but you know what?
Again.
We will try juggling again, but this time
What is it this time?
with the nose.
I'd like to have another try at juggling, please.
You have gone on a crash course, perhaps.
No, I just had an insight into presentation.
Huh?
Allow me to demonstrate. The balls, please.
If you insist on completing your humiliation, monsieur.
I do. I'm very proud of being American.
Okay, now for my secret weapon.
A gun. Oh, well, there you
Juggler
go.
was speechless with rage. You could have mistaken him for a mime. And without a word, he collected his balls and left in a fury.
You forgot
Hey!
your red...
You
Oh.
forgot one of your balls. Hey! But he didn't hear. Better still, deprived of his entertainment, the gendarme decided maybe he ought to do some policing for a change.
Excelente, mein Herr. It just leaves the crowd.
I had no desire.
Well, maybe they won't mind if I just use this. Ha ha ha! And now for my next act, I'll disappear down you. I can't get over there. So what are these doors?
The wall had flaked, and anything once written on it had long since gone.
It seems that everywhere in every sewer in France
The
has hidden
inscription was hard to
compartments.
read, but I made out Templier and something about innocence. My medieval French isn't much, but the few words I understood seemed to say, "This is where the gallows used
Well, I
to
know
stand."
basic French, and I've never heard the word gallows in it. So, you know, I'm quite impressed that he understands that word of all words.
I pushed against the door, but it seemed to be locked.
Nothing that is immediately apparent as an unlocking device. I'm back. There we go. What are we missing?
There were 3 arches, each with an inscription.
What about the manhole thing? Just bash the door down.
It was
perhaps.
time for some brutal destruction.
That worked better than I thought it might.
Hey, that's hollow! I'd poked a hole in an historical site. If any archaeologists came by, they'd lynch me for this. There was some sort of
You could do a Howard
mechanism
Carter
hidden
thing and say,
inside the
fucking
wall,
hell, those are
with a
beautiful
lever
things
in
in
the
there.
middle of
There's
it.
a shit ton of gold.
Here goes.
Which, as I understand
The
what he
secret door
actually
had
said when he
jammed.
found Tutankhamun.
Couldn't get through that gap.
I'm sure we can ease it open. Or use this boat somehow. So we're going to have to chain that to the door. Alright, this is nice and easy. As far as puzzles go. I've handled worse. See, it's even doing all the legwork for me. And just to make sure our vandalism is complete, c'est fini. What is in here?
Boy, had I ever made a mess of that door.
This looks like the sort of place that a cult might gather.
In the beginning was the end.
An end wrought by our enemies began our darkness.
In the end will be a beginning.
An end to our enemies heralds our new day.
Report. The military establishments are in flux. The end of the Cold War has left them with no clear goal and as obvious targets for budgetary cuts. We have successfully promoted a sense of betrayal in the upper echelons. They feel that the politicians have cast them adrift. The pattern is emerging. Our time is now.
Good. Mademoiselle?
Governments are giving the corporations more respect than their own citizens. A groundswell of dissatisfaction
It's
and
like Dr.
dissidence is
Evil's
growing. The corporations are becoming too large and complex for their own executives to control them.
Mamma
A
mia!
blind belief in market forces is accelerating this trend the world over.
Marinating in their
The
own
pattern is
ragu.
emerging. Our time is now.
The global population's belief in
Oh
those
my
that
Christ.
govern it has never been lower. We have
You just
inculcated a sense of
it through
immediacy
to your
and action over
testicles.
forethought and planning in all the major governments. They are acting on hasty decisions that cannot be completed or
Putting
revoked
blicks in
without
power.
appearing foolish. The pattern is emerging. Our time is now.
Excellent. The tired old governments are dying a slow death from their own incompetence.
I would agree with that.
And our machinations.
Not that. I think they are
Professor.
incompetent enough.
Where is the broken sword?
As we discussed last time, with
It's
the
him
loss
from the
of
hotel,
manuscript,
and
our
the
search
never-ending
is
newspaper.
particularly hindered.
And as discussed last time, you have been furnished with a dramatically increased budget. What have you been doing with is our money, Professor?
We are working on the principle that the Templars, that is to say our predecessors,
Hold on. These are the Templars?
must have left a trail when they were hiding the clues to the sword of Baphomet's location. I have a small army of historians and archaeologists ferreting out that trail.
I trust these historians and archaeologists are more trustworthy than your friend Pegram.
Pegram was loyal. He tried to protect the Lochmarn gem when the Hashashin came near.
And failed. And don't call that Syrian maniac the Hashashin. He's an assassin. Plain and simple.
Oh,
That's not
Syria,
what
very
he believes.
typical.
He actually thinks.
Silence! Do I
Silencio.
have to remind you that we have a sacred duty? A trust? When Philippe attempted to destroy the Order, we lost the sword and our power with it. Now we have the opportunity to reforge it. But time is short. We need results. Not petty bickering. Not excuses.
This bickering is
Now.
pointless.
Professor Baphomet.
Yes, of course, my apologies. We will find Baphomet and the sword, manuscript or no. We have already found another element actually within Paris.
Excellent. What is it?
Well, we're not exactly sure at present.
Ha!
But I have my best people working on it. You would do well not to criticize others, Eklund. At least I have not murdered one of our own.
Of course. That guy was the bogus doctor in the hospital.
Marquet was a liability. Eklund dealt with him on my orders.
All
I beg your
dirt.
pardon, Grandmaster. I did not mean to.
Have you any good news for us, Professor?
We already know 3 of the elements. We know that Klausner had obtained the lens before he vanished.
Where was he?
Syria. We know that he arrived, but after that, nothing.
The assassin.
I fear so. It's a shame. Klausner was a good operative.
This will be our last meeting in person until we locate the sword of
Klausner,
Baphomet.
that name's familiar.
I hope that I don't need to emphasize the importance of finding it.
No,
Without
the
it, our
importance
endeavors come
is
to
clearly
nothing.
high on everyone's agenda.
With the sword reforged, we will have the power to sweep the stage of
power
all
of Grayskull.
opposition. The next time that we meet, it will be to become
Princes of the
this
universe.
world.
Wow.
Lucky they all fit in that boat. Down we go. See what we can see. Non omnis moria clario e tenebris.
In the middle of the circle was a stump of stone.
Tripod goes on top
A
of that. then.
shaft of daylight from the world above,
Shaft.
lancing down to touch it.
Don't worry, I can see how this is going.
The tripod's feet fitted neatly into the notches on the top of the stump.
And the gem goes in the tripod.
The light, falling from above, struck the gem and scattered in 5
Marie.
neat rays.
Marim.
And each ray picked out a letter. Starting from the left, I could read M-A-R-I-B. Marib. Now all I had to do was figure out what the heck that meant.
Oh, well, that was easier than I thought.
Nico, I've seen them.
Who?
The Templars. I spied on their meeting in the catacombs.
And you saw the Knights Templar?
I saw a bunch of guys masquerading as Templars. They're after something called the Sword of Baphomet. The bogus doctor was there, the guy who killed Marquet. The manuscript is the key, just as we thought. It shows the way to the broken sword, whatever that is.
Probably not as good as an
How does
actual
the
one.
assassin fit into all this?
He's out to stop them. These Neo-Templars, they're men and women in influential positions. Don't you see? Plantar was one of them. The assassin killed him for the manuscript, to stop them finding the sword.
But now we have got the manuscript.
Yes.
So, how do they hope to find the sword?
I don't know. They said something about a lens and a guy called Klausner who's gone to Syria.
Yeah,
But
he's
they
probably
didn't
dead now.
seem to realize the significance of the very site of their meeting. You see, after they'd gone, I discovered a stone pedestal and a carved inscription. I set up the gem on the tripod, directly below a beam of light.
It seemed like the natural
gem
thing to do.
Split the beam and lit the letters M-A-R-I-B.
Spellcasting.
Marib is a village in Syria. You're not thinking of going there yourself, are you?
Why do you know
These
this?
guys are crazy and dangerous. That reminds me, you should leave the gem here.
Okay, what about the tripod?
I'll send it back to Andre, anonymously.
Okay, well, let's get to Syria.
Do you think I should go to Marib?
Syria is a long way, Georges.
Well, I'm going to Syria. She didn't try and stop me then. More than a few. Well, that was easy. We are now in Syria, and as we have now reached a new locale, we will call it a day. Thank you very much for watching. Welcome back to the Gentleman's Guide to Gaming, and let's play Broken Sword.
Hey there,
We
young
find
fella.
ourselves in Syria.
Speak you the English? Speak you the Anglais? Parlez-vous anglais?
Good God.
See, and indeed we, and rather better than you by the sound of it. My name is Nicho. Welcome to my grand emporium of quality merchandise.
So, this is your stand?
Oh, yes, sir. Though stand does not begin to do it justice. The finest in this bustling metropolis.
This is a bustling metropolis?
Well, not per se, no.
How much are those books there on the shelf?
Have you any Syrian pound?
Is that the
I think I
currency
might
in
have a couple
Syria?
of Irish pund.
Then they're too expensive for you, sir.
You speak very good English.
Thank you, sir. I learned from tapes that my uncle procured.
Oh, a language course.
No, sir. Jeeves and Wooster. Cassini, Think Noto, Aunt Agatha. What ho?
Does the word Templar mean anything to you?
Templar. Ah, Templar. Templar. Why, yes, of course.
It does?
Yes. A splendid series of books by Mr. Leslie Chatteris, featuring the roguish Mr. Simon Templar.
The Saint.
That's a real help, Nijo. Anything else?
The Saint television program, featuring Mr. Roger Moore.
With his Roger Mortis.
Musical eyebrow. And a stick man with a halo. Bing!
The racial stereotypes in this game never fail to offend.
So all Templar means to you is Roger Moore.
I only watched it for the stick man with the halo. Bing! He was better animated.
So I'm correct in saying that the word Templar doesn't mean much to you.
Well, there was the Order of Knights who were wiped out in an Inquisition in 1312, I suppose.
That's them. What else do you know?
Just how much information do you think there is on a Trivial Pursuit card?
A what?
From the medieval edition. We had it on the stand a couple
George
of years
Stobart
ago.
doesn't know
Ask
what
me
Trivial
what a
Pursuit is.
Pewter is. Go on, I know all this stuff.
Never mind. Okay, forget about the Templars for a minute. What do you know about knights?
Like the Crusaders, they came to the East on an insane and pointless mission. They
I know the feeling.
sacrificed thousands of lives, including their own, for insensate pride. How anyone can find them romantic confounds me.
Have you seen this man before?
No, sir, I'm glad to say. Cold eyes.
He's an assassin. He'll kill you.
What do you think of this, eh?
Oh, sir, what a splendid plaything. One day, when I am rich, I am going to build a world-renowned collection of brightly colored balls.
Are you serious?
In deadly earnest. People will come from far and wide to see my
Yes?
collection. The Rockefellers and the Gettys can keep their hordes of so-called fine art.
Sounds like an attraction in some obscure
What
state
good is
in
a
America.
castle, I ask you, if you cannot bounce it off a wall?
You may have a point. Seriously, do you really think this thing's so great?
Take it away, you tempter.
I'll swap it for something off your stand.
Due to seasonal financial considerations, I'm afraid I cannot.
I thought you wanted this thing.
I do, sir. The stand doesn't.
Which in translation meant it's not really my stand, and I'll be in big trouble if I swap anything for something that I want myself.
Alternatively, is there any service that you require?
Oh dear,
Not
dodgy
at the moment,
territory.
but I'll bear it in mind.
Well, in that case...
Here, shake hands, Nijo.
I'd rather not, sir.
Well, to hell with you then.
So long, Nijo.
Toodle peep, sir.